right.
Okay, so my presentation's on organic foods and are they truly better? So usually when people make a lifestyle change to live a healthier life, first thing they do is kind of change their diet, clean it up. Instead of eating more fast food, they'll get more produce and meat. But is organic meat or produce actually better? So what constitutes being organic? For produce, it has to be grown on soil that has not had any prohibited substances applied for the last 3 years prior to that harvest. So that includes like synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. So organic produce, they use regular fertilizers like manure from natural sources. For meat, it's animals are raised in living conditions similar to natural behaviors, so like free-range chickens and cattle where they can free graze. Fed 100% organic feed and forage, and antibiotic and hormone-free. And then for processed or multi-ingredient foods, free of artificial preservatives, colors, or flavors, and all the ingredients must be organic. So when they're adding all the ingredients to make that product, like there's a lot of organic granola bars and stuff, all the granola and everything else that is in there to be used has to be organic. Some exceptions are the enzymes in yogurt, pectin in fruit jams, or baking soda. So claims why people choose organic foods, they claim that they're safer due to being synthetic and pesticide free. Organic farming is kinder to the environment, and organic foods are healthier and more nutritious. But are organic foods safer? Organic foods have been shown to be up to 30% less pesticide residue, have less pesticide residue than conventional foods. So when conventional foods or GMO foods are grown, they spray them with pesticides to eliminate like insects taking over their crop and ruining it all. But these elevated levels have been proven to be insignificant. Most crops, including organic foods, contain trace amounts of pesticides. Organic foods do use some natural pesticides to keep insects away, but the studies show that both organic and conventional foods pesticide levels are well within the global safety standards. So even though you may be taking in these pesticides, the levels of pesticides on the foods don't matter. So some environmental impacts for organic farming, they do generally use less toxic chemicals, but with their natural pesticides and manure that they use, acidification and I think that's eutrophication are higher. So the nutrients in the plants not taken up by the manure will get like washed away into the water supplies, and they run off the farmland into the natural waterways. And in conventional farming, the adoption of GMO insect-resistant and herbicide-tolerant technology has reduced pesticide spraying by 553 million kilograms. So in herbicide-tolerant crops have led to reductions in fuel use and CO2 emissions of 6.3 billion liters due to no-till farming. So with no-till farming, usually you see the farmers out there tilling up the fields, and with these herbicides-tolerant crops, they don't have to till as much, so they're not using their equipment as much to add the CO2 to the air. And GM crops have produced an environment benefit of 37%. And then you can just read that. It's GMOs and the CO2 with what I was talking about with the no-till farming. Nutritional factors. Researchers at Stanford have found little difference in nutritional value between organic and conventionally grown foods. Some organic foods do have slightly higher phosphorus levels, while organic milk and chicken had higher omega-3 fatty acid content. But with those elevated levels in organic foods, they're not really advantageous at all because you'll get the phosphorus or omega-3 fatty acids from other sources of foods as well. Some costs of organic foods. Organic foods are often significantly more expensive. This is due to increased costs in complying with the standards of being organic because you have to get your food tested after you harvest it, and a decreased yield per farm animal or crop. So if a farmer has an organic field, they're usually a lot smaller than the conventional fields that they're grown on, And then just because that field is smaller and has crops all in it, not all those crops are going to make it. So they have a less yield at the end of the season in their harvest, so they have less to sell, and with all the labor that went into making that, their cost is going to be more. So post-harvest handling of relatively small quantities of organic foods results in higher costs. And that has to go with the mandatory segregation of organic and conventional produce in processing and transportation. And organic foods, on average, are 47% more expensive. So if you do plan on buying organic, the foods where like the organic label does matter is like apples, bell peppers, cucumbers, all those ones where you are like actually consuming the peels, unless you do actually peel your apples and stuff, but you're losing out on a lot of nutrients then. And then produce you don't need to buy organic is like asparagus, avocado, mushrooms, and so on. Because all those foods that were tested, these ones had less pesticide residue on them, and then those ones had more higher levels. But whether you are buying organic or conventional produce, just be sure to wash your vegetables and fruits before actually consuming them, and this will help eliminate the pesticide residue that's on them. One video.
Everyone says organic food is better for you and better for the environment. But is that true, or is it just eco-marketing rhetoric? I'm Brian Dunning, and you're watching In Fact. Welcome to the show that gives you the real facts behind popular myths. Organic food is now a huge market segment, driven by consumer demand for food that's healthier. The biggest misconception held by many organic lovers is that organic produce is not grown with fertilizers or pesticides. That's simply wrong. Organic fertilizers and pesticides are manufactured by all the major producers. Pests attack crops, whether they're certified organic or not. And all plants take nutrients out of the soil that have to be replaced. Many think organic farms handle that through soil management, and so they do. But so do all farms. Every farm rotates crops as much as possible to keep the soil healthy and reduce pest proliferation. By no means is this unique to organics. It's been a farming fundamental for centuries. Chemicals are one of a farm's biggest expenses, and both organic and conventional farms strive to reduce that expense. Modern agriculture depends on efficient fertilizers that deliver the needed nutrient load with a minimum of waste and runoff, and newly developed seed strains that thrive with less fertilizer and that are naturally resistant to pests. Organic practices, however, prohibit both of these innovations, restricting farmers to less efficient fertilizers made from post-consumer and animal waste, and banning the use of the newest crop strains. Why? Because that's what organic is. It was never about farming in the best way we know how. It's about farming in a particular way that rejects modern developments. The National Organic Program is managed under the USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service. Organic is about marketing, not about science, not about health. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If organic is what you want, great, enjoy. That's why the food producers are making it for us, because people want it. And it's great to have such choices. At the end of the day, there's no real difference. The internet's full of videos where volunteers can't tell organic from conventional produce in blinded tests. Daily variations in produce quality are much larger than any inherent difference between organic and conventional. And yes, you can find studies that show organic food is healthier, but to find them, you have to dig past a much larger number of studies that find no difference at all. Buy and enjoy whichever you prefer. Just don't be fooled by bad science and marketing rhetoric. I'm Brian Dunning, and this has been In Fact.
So, just don't be fooled by common myths about organic foods. Organic foods are no more nutritious than conventional foods. Both of them do have pesticides, but these pesticide levels are well within the global safety standards. Just wash your produce after you buy it. Consume organic or conventional foods, it doesn't matter. Just choose whatever you prefer. just make sure to get a variety of colored fruits and veggies in your diet. That's it.
Does anyone buy